Uh, and you too. So, well, I think we, and with Rob perhaps too, we can possibly, and Haig, just kind of make concluding observations. So I will be brief. Uh, I've heard really good macroeconomic type news in the sense that the economies are flexible and adjustable, and we are going to create jobs and new jobs, and that's true for rich countries and for many developing and poor countries too. So that actually looks much better than I had thought before I was kind of listening to people. Uh, Great. The problem, however, I see is more on the micro level. That is on the individual personal level. That is kind of the economy is one thing, and your household and individual existence is another one, and people don't adjust as fast as I mentioned. And so here we have to kind of make better transitional adjustment mechanisms. And this is in everybody's interest. The technology industry will understand that by making transitions easier and smoother socially, they will actually be held back less, and so they will ultimately benefit from it as well. The worst situation that we can be in is that because there are so many losers, losers are good in one thing in particular. They can organize themselves well. Winners often are more speculative, hypothetical, unborn yet, and so they're not possibly present politically as much. And if you kind of take that equation, you may well find that the losers will slow down the emergence of the transition to a new economy, and in the end, everybody loses. So therefore, it's really important to have transition arrangements. Unions can play a real important role in that. In fact, as I mentioned, I think that there'll be much more of a role of a different, possibly type of unionism that is more oriented to the benefits and this job security than to the representation on the workplace itself. So there are all kinds of new models emerging, new societal, governmental type programs to emerge, delivery of social programs, all these things that will create a safety net that makes it possible to take bigger risks above the social safety net. And so that's, to me, one of the observations that I want to share with you. Len? Would you like to go? And then perhaps Haig and Rob. Is your Rob still on? Is Rob still gone?
I'm still on. I'm on mute. I'm still on.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe we'll have you after then.
Well, I think everybody kind of talked about the need for better transition policies. And I think politically we've been talking about these for generations, and nothing happens. Right? We have a much better safety net in Canada than the U.S. We look at the U.S. and wonder, hey, why are you picking on us? No, that's a different subject. Sorry, I wouldn't raise that. We have a more of a safety net than the U.S. has, and we wonder, as a very rich country, why not? And so it's the political issues, I think, that are holding us back, because I think as scientists or economists or educators or students, we can all agree that disruption is costly for those going through it, and there's got to be a better way of handling it than what we're doing now. But who's going to do it? Lorenzo, do you want? Or Rob?
Sure. A couple of things on that front. I agree with that, being a Canadian-born and now dual citizen. But I also think, I hate to say that, I think this time is different. Maybe I'm wrong. There's an awful lot of people, both Republicans and Democrats in Washington, who are panicked about this, talking about it. I think it's reasonable to believe that there'll be some improvement. We're not going to become like Denmark, highly unlikely. Some of the social democratic places where unions and companies will all cooperatively together, but we could do more, and I think we probably will do more. Just quickly to respond to Len's point, I really think there's two important points in this from a national perspective. One is, can you use these technologies to create traded sector platforms to do well in? And Obviously, India has done that with IT services, some software. The recent Turkey couldn't do the same. When I was making a little different one, which was how IT will transform all occupations in an economy and all industries, retail, banking, manufacturing. And that I will stick with my original view that that's going to be a slower process in lower wage nations. But not to say that there aren't opportunities, as Len alluded to, for countries that are smart, focused, and targeted to really take advantage of essentially what are global product markets for these areas.
I was found a lot more optimism in the general discussion here than I have in other forums, and expected to hear in this forum. And that does comport with what we in our work have tended to see among the kinds of organizations that we've dealt with and work with. I think I shared some examples, and there were some in there where you saw some disruption of employment and collapse of employment, but others where there was strong expansion. And I think the latter is a more a prevalent and dynamic trend that I expect to continue. One thing we didn't talk about as much is the impact of globalization of labor markets. For the large organizations with whom we work, there really is no such thing as a local labor market anymore. It's kind of irrelevant. And frankly, I think, our fixation on the U.S. unemployment rate and our surprise that wages aren't going up it's disruptive and a bit of an anachronism, because it's also irrelevant. There are still tens of millions, hundreds of millions of unemployed people globally, and those global labor markets affect wages and employment everywhere for the large employers in the organization. So I think if we guide our policies by those U.S. unemployment rates, we're going to have restrictions coming faster than they should be. Okay.
David? All right, so I would like then to give the last word appropriately to the man who actually initiated this project. So would you like kind of to address us? Lorenzo Pupillo again.
No, we're not a conclusion at all. Just, I think my take today is that it's something that already wrote also an introduction of the book. I think we need to do much more work and study better how to approach this transitional issue related to skills. Len was saying before, we don't know how to teach soft skill, for instance, in university. I think probably, in my opinion, I think it's important that there is this emphasis on coding, but probably we should also as some people say, from STEM to STEAM, adding also this arts, the humanistic component. In other words, creating people that, people that are structurally more flexible. 65% of the kids that today go to school, primary school, to elementary school, don't know what the kind of job they will be doing. So I think that probably we should make a stronger effort to understand that. Okay?
Thank you. So I would like to conclude. I would say for a university, there are also major challenges. And one of them is that the students are young. And why should that be? It's just simply the way it's always been, which is education is being front-loaded, and then you basically have your human capital and go run with it for the next 50 years. That's kind of a crazy model for today. There should be a lot of kind of programs for middle-aged, middle-skill, middle-everything type people who come back. Maybe we should have our degrees terminate after 10 years and you have to come back for renewal or something like that to stay up to date. It's not just a piece of paper on the wall. It's a qualification for a skill level. If things change, then the educational system changed too. But here too, to get Columbia, to get the university system to adopt and establish these things will take a long time, because the institutional constraints, human constraints, are actually a much sharper problem than technological constraints. So with these words, I'd like to thank you. You've been here very patient for almost 3 years, it seemed like 3 years, 3 hours without bathroom breaks, without coffee breaks. Thank you for coming. I hope this was interesting and enlightening. Thank you, Jason, for running this.